a combination of two or more simple tissues. So what are the complex permanent tissues? They are xylem, phloem and epidermal cells. So what comes under xylem? Xylem is derived from a Greek word called xylem is derived from a Greek word called xylon, that means wood. So xylem means, function of xylem is transportation of water and salts. So what does xylem constitute? Xylem constitutes four types: xylem parenchyma, xylem fibers, tracheids and vessels. Xylem is composed of four types of cells: xylem parenchyma, xylem fibers, tracheids and vessels. Tracheids and vessels together constitute trachteary elements. So think of xylem, think of plumbing system of the plant. Think xylem is the plumbing system of the plant. It acts like pipes. It helps in transportation of water in the plants from up to down. So xylem transports water in only one direction. Always remember, only in upward direction. So the function of xylem is transportation of water and salts. Xylem constitutes of four types of cells: xylem parenchyma, xylem fibers, tracheids and vessels. Tracheids and vessels together constitute trachteary elements. What is the function of xylem parenchyma? It stores food and water in the plant. What is the function of xylem fiber? Whenever you think of fiber, think of support. So xylem fibers provide support to the plant. Tracheids and vessels. What are the functions of tracheids and vessels? Why do you think there should be two things when the function is similar? The transport of water and salts. Why do you think there should be two things? There can be one thing, no? So what is the difference between tracheids and vessels? Tracheids is a spindle-shaped thing. Vessel is a cylindrical in shape. Tracheids are uninucleate. Vessels have multinuclei. They are shorter in diameter. They are longer in diameter. So this is the basic difference between tracheids and vessels. Though the function is similar, there is difference in the structure. So tracheids and vessels transport water and salts. They are together known as trachteary elements. Hope everything is clear about xylem. So next move about phloem. So what is phloem? So phloem again consists of mashup of four types of cells, that is sieve tubes, companion cells, sieve fibers and sieve parenchyma. Phloem consists of four types of cells: sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem fibers and phloem parenchyma. Again, phloem parenchyma storage. The only function of phloem parenchyma cells is storage. Then phloem fibers. Think of fibers, think of support. Phloem fibers provide support to the plant. So xylem transports water to the plant in only one direction. Phloem transports food to the plant in all the directions. So phloem can be regarded as the kitchen of the plant. The function of phloem is transportation of the food. Phloem consists of four types of cells: sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem fibers, phloem parenchyma. Phloem parenchyma stores the food. Phloem fibers provide support. Sieve tubes and companion cells work together for transportation of food. So sometimes it can be sieve tubes or sometimes it can be called sieve elements also. Sieve elements are also known as conductive elements of the plant. And sieve elements are found in angiosperms, whereas sieve tubes or sieve cells are found in gymnosperms. Whether they may be sieve tubes or sieve cells, they are primitive and the function is similar. So this is about phloem. Now coming to the last step, epidermal cells. They are equally important. Though they are different, they are equally important. The plant is covered by outer covering of the plant is due to a single layer of cells called epidermal cells. So the total plant is covered by a single layer of cell called epidermal cells. So this epidermal cells forms the outer covering of the plant. It protects the plant from mechanical injury and parasitic attack. Whereas in desert areas where there is no long water available, no much water available, in that areas epidermal cells secrete a waxy layer above them to prevent the water loss through transpiration. They secrete a layer called cutin. They secrete a substance called cutin. It is a waxy substance, forms a coating and protects the leaves from water loss. Then epidermal cells are irregular in shape. They do not have any nucleus. They do not have any intercellular spaces. Then they have something called guard cells between them. So these guard cells help in the process of transpiration. And between the guard cells there is a small space. This small space is called stomata. This is an epidermal cell. These are guard cells and the space between these guard cells is called stomata. Stomata helps the plant to breathe. Every leaf has small pores in that. Those pores are called stomata. Stomata helps in breathing and preparing of the food. What happens if there is no stomata on the leaf? If there is no stomata on the leaf will eventually die. So I'll tell you one example. When I was teaching somewhere previously, I gave a question, what happens if there is no stomata on the leaf? So a child has answered that if there are no stomata, then we cannot make tomato. Tomato will not be made because the plant will not live, it will die. So he has written that if there is no stomata, there will be no tomato. And we cannot make tomato curry. Isn't that funny, right? So this is about epidermal cells. Then is one more thing called suberin. This is a pigment secreted near the root parts of the plant. It forms the surface covering of the root hairs. So this is all about plant tissues. Now let's move to the animal tissues. Then you have bone. Bone is a connective tissue. Then you have blood and you have nervous tissue. So when you move, you feel inhalation, you feel the movement of your chest. How? Because the presence of the muscular tissue. Same way, first we should deal with the epithelial tissue. What is epithelium? Epithelium is nothing but an outer covering of the body. It is made up of cells. So, do you know, we human beings shed 6,000 cells every hour. Isn't that a big amount? Right? So, these epithelial tissues are classified on the basis of two types. How many layers are present in them and how they look. So, epithelium is nothing but the outer covering of your body. And epithelium separates organ to organ. It separates every organ of the body because every organ of the body is covered by epithelium. So it has a permeable surface, that means a very thin surface. So epithelial tissue, depending on how they look, they are of three types: squamous, cuboidal and columnar. Have you wondered what is squamous? Scientists have given such a weird name called squamous. Even I wondered what is squamous. Then I came to know that it is derived from a Greek word called squama. Squama means layers or scales. For example, fishes and snakes, they have scales over them, right? So those scales are called squama. So that is why here it is squama. But the scales of the fishes and snakes are harder in nature. But here, squamous epithelium is very, very soft. Next, the epithelium is cuboidal. As the name suggests, the cells will be cuboidal in shape. Next, columnar. Same way, as the name suggests, the cells are long, tall in columns. So, come next. Depending on how many layers are present, they are of two types, simple and stratified. Simple means always of single one layer, and stratified means they are of many layers. So, coming to simple epithelial tissue, it is of three types: simple squamous, simple cuboidal, and simple columnar. Simple squamous means it will be present only in a single line, and it is present in the lining of the esophagus, lining of the mouth, and lining of the blood vessels. So, next coming to this squamous epithelium has a very permeable surface, that means a very thin lining, so that the substances pass easily. So, next coming to the cuboidal epithelium. The cells are cuboidal in shape. It can be simple, single layer or multi-layered, and they provide mechanical support to the body. So, cuboidal cells are present in lining of the kidney tubules and lining of the salivary glands. They can be either stratified, they can be either simple, single layered or multi-layered. Then the third variety is columnar, simple columnar epithelium. This is present as tall columnar cells. It can either be single layered or it can be multiple layered. So, simple columnar cells are found in intestines, lining of the intestines, and lining of the respiratory tract. Then there is one more method, one more epithelium to confuse you. So, this is pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar epithelium. Isn't that a very big name? So, what do you mean by pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar epithelium? They have all types of mixed cells, long cells, narrow cells, short cells. So, they are like faking cells. So, these are present in lining of the lungs or cilia. Cilia are nothing but hair-like structures present in your respiratory tract. Because of the presence of cilia, hair-like structures, they are present as the lining of the mucus. So, this cilia and mucus helps in these cilia or mucus helps in easy passage of food into your stomach or intestine from the mouth because of this slippery nature and presence of these hair-like structures called cilia. The mucus is also lined by cilia. Then the last type of epithelium what we have is glandular epithelium. Sometimes the epithelium folds and forms an inward covering of any organ. At that time it is called as glandular epithelium. Sometimes glandular epithelium in future turns into glands. You know of the body like pituitary gland, thyroid gland, adrenal gland. So these are all the glands of the body. So if they turn and form into a gland, they secrete hormone like pituitary hormone, then thyroid stimulating hormone, adrenocorticotropic hormone, adrenaline, all these are secreted. So glandular epithelium is nothing but an inward folding of the epithelium, and sometimes they turn and form glands. It secretes hormones. It also salivary glands secrete saliva. Sometimes these glands secrete hormones both inside the body and outside the body. For example, saliva. Saliva is secreted in the outer of the body. You can see the saliva. Whereas hormones like adrenaline, thyroxine, then adrenocorticotropic hormone, all these are secreted inside the body. So this is about epithelial tissue. So next we shall move to the next type of animal tissue called muscular tissue.